I don't know why I record anymore. I really don't have much to say. All desire to talk about self-realization, God, Guru, seems to have gone for me. All that stuff is gone. I used to be able to start satsang having nothing to say and be amazed at what comes out of my mouth. I could go on and on with bullshit for an hour and a quarter. But I don't have access to that bullshit anymore. Now I rest in myself with nothing to do and nowhere to go. I have no future, no past now, nothing to achieve, nowhere to go. There's no longer an entity at all called Ed. Ed wants nothing. Ed has very little to say. Except here I am. And there you are. It's easy enough to practice Robert's type of spirituality. Which is to say you don't exist. Your body is illusory. The world is illusory. But what he's really saying is we tend to get tied into the stories of our mind. And even when we think we're not doing anything, we're still following those internal stories. I feel utterly useless. I don't want to do anything anymore. So, do I help you all to become useless? Even more useless than you think you are now? Is that my magic flute? To go on and on and on about being useless? Having nothing to do and nowhere to go? having finished all of your responsibilities. Do you know what it's like having fulfilled all of your responsibilities? It's freedom. I don't have to come here, neither do you. We come in fellowship. Fellowship of the do nothing music boys and girls. The people who couldn't open a door without a guide. So begins the phone calls today. I'll get about 30 of them. From 928 area code, which is down south, to 520, which is also down south. From the Phoenix area code, from Peoria area code. Over and over again, they call to sell me solar energy, auto warranties, home protection services, insurance. It didn't used to be so bad, but in the last couple of years, there are a whole bunch of people out there that just like to make phone calls. I used to pick up and play with them. I used to pick up and say something in a funny voice like, "Yes, who the hell's there? Leave me alone." I don't want your auto warranties. I don't want solar energy. I want to be left alone to quietly enjoy not having anything to do. Some of us here have all kinds of things to do. You created that kind of thing for yourself. All kinds of missions. People in the family that are ill. People in the family that have some sort of addiction. Some people in the family that are getting old and need help with their lives. And we all feel responsible. Maybe we don't do anything about it, but we feel responsible. But to go beyond that point, where there's nothing more to do. Yeah, it seems like amazing freedom. I could sit all day long doing nothing. Maybe watching television. to see if something grabs me. But mostly having nothing to do. What is there to do for you? What would allow you to be finished from searching? And plunging deeply into yourself to find your own depths. What if you didn't have that to do anymore? Cassianian, what if you decided you've done enough? I'm not going to search anymore for anything, for emptiness, for fullness, for God, for self. And when I want to make popcorn, I'm going to make popcorn. Or maybe I'm going to get out of an all meat regimen and try Impossible Burger. What does Atkins know about diet anyhow? High protein diet for what? So you can get more erections more often? And what about that doctorate I've been pursuing all these years? What happens when I'm a doctor? I remember Maxie used to hate the PhD mill run he was on and all the things it forced him to do and the stupid studies he had to make in order to write about it. I told him not to do it, just like Robert told me. But he shined me on and got a doctorate anyway. Now he does nothing with it. But it was one more impediment that he had to get rid of. What's left that you're looking for? Dahlia, what are you looking for? You can answer if you can.
I'm trying to look at, not to look for.
What's that?
I'm for the moment, lately I have been on the looking at the thoughts rather than looking for anything.
You're
What's
looking
present?
at what?
The thoughts, mainly. The thoughts, and then the relationship with the emotions and the patterns and the I thought, everything as
So you're
thought.
very busy, absorbed in your mind, watching the mind do its thing.
Yeah, I'm busy.
And realizing you're separate from the mind because you're watching it. But do you feel free yet?
Well, I saw that the world is in the mind. So I got a release from the world, not from the mind yet. And the I thought also, I saw that it's in the mind. So I keep watching and
So is
listening.
the I thought the same as you or different from you?
For the moment, it's just a thought, so it's different. But I trust the sages that say that it brings home. It's a doorway. So I'm contemplating.
And what do you want to accomplish? What is it that you want? What are you seeking by doing this?
I can't say. I don't know.
What if you weren't doing the seeking? What would you do?
I don't know. I do things in daily life.
What?
I do things in daily life, but always watch the mind doing things, thinking things, projecting situations, judging. And just have faith that it's yeah, it will sing. The mind will sing in the heart. I don't know what it means, but it speaks to me.
What speaks to you?
The fact that the mind sings in the heart at one point.
So are you searching for your mind or are you searching for your heart?
I'm searching for my heart.
And how do you find your heart?
I don't know. By looking at, for the moment, it's I'm watching the mind. I am so identified with the mind and the body that that I think I need to see things as they are and not the way I thought. So by watching it, it makes everything appear differently, clearer, lighter. And the process goes on alone. I don't think I have the choice, by the way. So the unknown land, completely.
Sounds like a tough job.
No, I enjoy. I feel peaceful for the moment. I feel more peaceful than ever.
What about you, Mark? What's left for you to do?
You know, I have a lot of thoughts about this stuff, and I have a hard time piecing it together so I can speak coherently on the spot about it. But basically, not too much. Like, I'm very happy where I am, and you know, I may look like I'm doing not much to the outside observer, but while I have the appearance of doing nothing, I'm actually abiding in other worlds, other dimensions that are lusciously beautiful, euphoric, different, you know, higher dimensions. And like for me, a lot of this stuff is really like it's really like a physical thing. It's not so much to do with the mind or anything like that. It's to do with attention and where the attention is focused. So when I abide in myself, the attention just rests in its starting point. And it's so obvious now that I've reached this point. It wasn't always. So it's like you talk about submerging into the ocean of consciousness, and the usual state of consciousness is this chronically contracted range, very limited, chronically stressed out to a degree, and very muted highs and lows. But once that's removed, there's the whole full spectrum of consciousness, which goes beyond what's required for a human being, and which is like really something else, really all the stuff that the sages talk about is there, although it's unique to me and how, you know, it's different for everyone, but it's what everyone's, all the lineage, including yourself, all the things you've been talking about are true for me. And I enjoy what I do. And, you know, I'm not looking for anything more. I'm just looking to stabilize and continue the way I am. Thanks, Ed.
Stabilize into what?
Just not lose ground, like not get diverted back to where I used to be. So just hang tight where I am and just enjoy it and just be myself, be the natural man instead of the wrong identification that I came here with, which is another thing I want to talk about very briefly. And I mentioned this before, but it's what kind of ludicrous world are we born into where the default state of being is a fraudulent one, where like the instinctive way of our being is based on illogical premises, and where in order to escape from the constraints that nature, society, whatever imposes on us, requires a lot of effort, years of applied discipline. Like, what kind of world is this? It's crazy, no? It's a strange life in some ways.
Which is the strange life? The life to struggle to get out of life, or the life to struggle to find out what the fuck's going on?
Both. It's just weird. It's weird that like there's like a tiny little loophole that nature provides for us to get free of it, but it requires a lot of, you know, a lot of work, and a lot of people never make it. So like, why? Why is the world made like this? Who knows? But I'm glad I'm at the place where I'm at now, and I do it whatever I can to help those that are interested in becoming free themselves. That's really all I can say. One last question, Edgy. You've talked about good people before, those that don't do spiritual practices but have a natural awakeness, a natural instinctive state of awakeness. Where does Walt Whitman fall on that scale for you? Like, from what you know of Walt Whitman, was he like a good person?
Don't have a clue.
Okay. It's just something that occurs to me sometimes because I'm overly well read, so maybe. Thank you, Edgy.
What about Plato and Aristotle?
What about
Charlie
classical
Chaplin?
music? What about classical music and jazz fusion?
Yeah.
I'm investigating.
Ian, when are you going to stop?
I have no idea. And that feels okay.
How do you stop?
I breathe. I put attention on my breath and realize it's the life force entering what I think is my body.
Can you
And then I
feel the
do it
life
again.
force?
Yeah.
What's it feel like to you?
It feels like honey.
Does it move
breathing in
slowly or
honey.
rapidly?
It moves at the rate of my breath. It enters me with my breath.
What is your relationship with the life force?
It's always there, but it doesn't force me to experience it. So when I choose to experience it, like the little hole that Mark talked about, it's there. So I simply go there and breathe. And I'm in it.
Into the life force?
Yeah. I'm
What
in
does that
love.
feel like?
I'm in love. That's what it feels like. Love, 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 love. Nothing else, just love. Everything else just folds up and collapses like a house of cards in the face of love.
Eric, what is your state?
Yeah. What Ian just said, love. Love everyone and feed them. Just love everyone and feed them. What else is there to do?
Mark, what else is there to do?
Beats me. Maybe join you in becoming good for nothings.
Bernadette, how's your becoming nothingness going?
I don't know, it's going. It's doing what it's doing. I'd like to stay in a place where the mind is quiet and not get pulled back into worry or thoughts, but I'm becoming more content where I am because something's happening that I'm not doing. So why should I try so hard? I don't think I'm doing it. I'm just trying to relax into it, I guess.
Good. What about you, Chris?
I feel a beingness is but it's obscured a lot by my mind. I listen to my mind. My mind drags me into thoughts and fears and worries and things. But deep down, there's always a feeling of just relax into the beingness. It's always there. The life force, it's always there. And I can choose to relax into it or choose to listen to my mind and not be with it. And I'm trying, I want to relax. I want the freedom from my mind and from feels like from not being what I really am. And I feel like I'm dragged, I either dragged or I volunteer to be taken away from my true self, my real beingness. And I'm trying to observe that and just.
What is your real beingness like?
It feels like it's nothing really specific as much as a peace and a calm. I don't really think about what I'm doing. I just do stuff. I don't, like this morning, I was in bed thinking, what am I going to have for breakfast? And I thought, well, just don't think like that. Just relax, go through my day and eat breakfast. And the beingness is more like that I just am and do stuff and I don't worry about it. I don't think about it. It's just my life happens. And I let it happen. And I don't have to plan it. I don't have to think about it. And I don't have to control every detail. And that's the kind of freedom and relaxation I'm desiring, is to not
investigate your own life anymore.
just
do
it. Just do it. And why do I need to worry about what I'm going to have for breakfast? I mean, that's stupid. Why do I need to think about what I'm going to wear? What do I need to think about what tomorrow is? It's just, I've been trying to just focus my attention on the moment. What's happening right now? doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter what's going to happen in 5 minutes. Just live my life now. And my mind will come in and say something or do something. And I try not to listen to it. I'm trying just to be now. And that's beingness for me, is just a contentment of being now.
What does that feel like being now?
It feels almost like nothing. Like I don't. There's I'm just. It's a lack of worry, a lack of tension. It's more of a lack than it's relaxation into almost nothing. It's because when I'm doing it, it's just happening. It's not planned. It's not, to say pleasant isn't even the right word, because it's not pleasant. It's not unpleasant. It's just this contentment of existing and just doing my thing. I'm not really thinking about good or bad. It just is.
What about you, Jay?
I just keep thinking that I'm supposed to become something. And the more I think about it, the more problematic it becomes, and the more elusive it becomes. And the chatter in my mind just won't stop. So I just try to slow it down into the moment. I get buffeted by mundanity in a way that sometimes I don't think I can take it anymore. So I take the takeaways from your satsangs and I start to use it as a template to try to get a hold of it somehow. I think the seamlessness of pure subjectivity allows for everything in the now moment, just every single thing, just to stop trying to parse it, to separate good, bad, up, down, left, right, in and out, just to simply fall back into the moment. Love the emotionality for everything that you brought to us, from Invited to God Manifest. To come here, as I said, from reading Nisargadatta, almost every book, I don't know that he would suffer me in his little beady shop or in the little enclave up above for 3 years, because I think what he said, there has to be some kind of a plan. I mean, he was severe. He cooked people. I know Robert, from everything that I read from his book and your blog, that Robert cooked people a lot. I know you have and do. I think there's a gentility to you in a way. You love us so deeply that I know you brought it back to the marketplace from Invited to God Manifest, and you love us so, and that allows me to stay in the journey, because as I said, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I love you very much, and I love everyone here very much.
Jay, who are you?
I don't know. I really don't. I think I'm a confluence of chatter and moments. It's sort of like short-circuiting in the moment with impulses. You know, as I said, I've read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and there's a page that basically said, if you're self-aware, you don't have to do this again. You don't have to come back because you break the wheel of karma. But that's not an answer. Those are only just observations and verbiage. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that you can know that, because in the now moment, there's only isness or amness. You can't know yourself, as you said. I'm still on the trajectory of becoming, and I can't seem to break that filament from becoming to being, as Mark has helped us so many times. And I'm still there. I'm still stuck in becoming, but I don't know who I am. I mean, you know, you walk around with a wallet in your back pocket, supposed to tell you who you are. And if you lost it, what would you tell? Whom would you tell who you are? How would you explain to somebody, I am? It would be ludicrous. They would take you somewhere and probably chain you to furniture. And you know, you would sputter away trying to figure this out. No, I have no idea, Ed. I really don't. But I love you, and I love the satsangs, because as I said, to me, they're Shaktipat sadhanas, and you say everything that I need to hear every single time.
Can you let go?
Yeah, I'm not alone in my life and my family and my circumstances. Both my wife and my son, their days are very, very involved. My wife is in a tremendous project for Showtime Networks, one of the biggest she's ever had to deal with. It's multi millions, and there's 10 episodes, and she really 12-hour days are just the beginning. So my life is to try to sustain everything in the house. My son is, he's 38 and a work in progress, but really, no, I mean, I can't walk away from as much as I might because of my commitments. But yes, it took me a long time to walk away from mundanity to the point where I am now, where I just have to eschew this bullshit every day in the news. Let everybody do what they do, don't do what they do, or do it to whomever they do it to. I can't keep up with it. I can't read it. I don't want to read it. I can't. I mean, the more I read, the more I want to just put it all down and just let it all go.
Can you do that?
It doesn't sound like I can from what I just said, because I'm lost in verbiage again. Yes, I believe that I can. I spend most of my my life alone, not alone that I'm alone, but there are things that aren't requited for many decades, and but my life is fulfilled in so many ways. I try to let this go, as I said. I try to fall back into the life force and go with the Leela. And that's what I try to do. And sometimes I'm better at it than others.
Can you feel the life force?
Yeah, I do. When I'm here, it explodes me. The litany of bullshit in my head starts to move down into my heart, and it stops, because there's no that cacophony of crap. The heart resonates differently. You become oneness or Om or whatever. Everything that I've read, if there's any interval between becoming and being, it's at that moment when the mind stops chattering and something else happens. And again, those are just pointers. I don't know what happens. If anything happens, maybe nothing happens. But the demonstrations are done in a way I am what I'm looking for, whatever that is, and maybe I just need to leave it there.
We'll try a little experiment now. And that's to rest in ourself with nothing to do and nowhere to go. Just close your eyes. And neither look within or don't look within. Don't focus. Just be aware. Be aware of your body. Scan your body. And if you're lucky, you'll find nothing to point to, nothing to observe. It'll all be sort of blah to you. Nothing really exciting or interesting grabs your attention. And you sit with nothing to attend to. So you wonder what you should be doing with your mind. Nothing. Leave your mind alone. It's not you. It's something you use, or it uses you. To be able to escape the hegemony of the mind is a significant step on the way to freedom, where you can let the mind go and do whatever it wants and not really pay it much heed. But there comes a point when you realize that all of the thinking you do in your mind, all the speculating, all the direction that you put into your self-realization attempts really come to naught. When you use your mind, you keep chasing things. The mind's always willing to play with you. It's always willing to wait to show you who's in charge. And then you catch yourself doing the same thing over and over and over again. Maybe thinking about something that's been undone. Let's say you do that all the time. You grasp onto the things that you could have done today but didn't do. And then you say to yourself, I'm going to let go of even that. And then you find out that you're beginning to hold on to something entirely different, a different thought. Can you imagine now being dead? Dead from the sense of being able to figure out what to do. You're just a piece of sentient meat. Your body's there. And it's filled with feelings, experiences. Your right shoulder feels different from the left. Both feel different from your throat and esophagus, which feels different from your lungs, which feels different from your legs. You can take a look at them without trying to do something, without trying to find a higher state of consciousness in them, like Mark does. Higher states or lower states or any state. What if there's nothing to do and nowhere to go? All your struggles for the past 30 years have been to teach you not to struggle. All your struggles to know yourself. Are the exact same mechanism that has locked you into life all along. Self-realization becomes a mundane pursuit. Finding your mind becomes something you're always doing. to find nothingness inside is also something you've been trying for a long time so that you have some rest from doing. But have you any idea what you're going to do with it when you find it? Nothing to do and nowhere to go. What's going to motivate you then? What if you had nowhere to go, Angel? Nowhere to go, nothing to see. You're finished. Kaput. Utterly useless. There's no higher life to find. All that you are right now is all that you'll ever have. There's no deeper magical self. It's just you. You and your complicated mind. Vijay, what do you seek now?
Complete stillness with full of life.
That's nice. That sounds good. How close are you?
So anything I do, I notice that there is a continuous mental chatter that's happening. Everything and anything. I did not find a moment where I purely focus on something. It's the chatter is always happening. Whatever I do, it doesn't matter. So it appears like I'm not separate from those thoughts at all.
You're not separate from them, did you say?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Just always rolling into in the imagination or the bubble of that.
Now, who is the you that watches it? Who is the you that watches the mind constantly bringing thoughts?
There is a imagination or picture of myself in the head that appears to be me because there is a feeling of this flesh and the sensation of the touch. Because of that, it appears like that's me that's trying to watch or want to have some freedom. And those thoughts that comes up unconsciously, and there is a judgment that's always happening, like in the form of analysis and judging. And the other thought comes up and says that I want to be free from them. I'm not really sure.
When you watch your mind, how do you watch it? From where are you watching it?
Into the head.
You're in your head and you watch it?
Inside of the head. Yeah, that's where it feels like that there are thoughts or the images.
But where are you watching it from?
Still at this point, in the head point.
So you're in your head watching the thoughts in your head.
Yeah.
There's no separation, or there is separation?
When those are happening, it's always like me, the body, or me, the image or imagination, and watching the thoughts. The thoughts are again a story of my habits. There is a lot of investment into so many stories that are repeating over and over.
But you're watching them. You're the one that
I'm
sees the repetition.
right, but
So you
that's
must
only
not be repeating. You're watching from a position of constancy. And you recognize that this talking inside, this generating of thoughts is always going on.
true. That's probably a fraction of moment, several times in a day, but 99.9% of the time I'm inside of those bubbles. So like being one with that story and flow of that, whatever it is.
Part of you wants to be part of that. Is that what you're saying? That flow?
No, because of that repetition of the habits. So my attention grabs into it, stuck with that, and become that story, part of the story.
So
And
you have a story about you independent of the thoughts.
no, the thoughts create the story.
Thoughts what?
Thoughts create the story.
Cleared?
Create the
Create.
story or the stories. A continuous form of stories that attention is always glued into, and I become those thoughts and the story and become part of the story totally.
Are you aware of the life force within?
There is a vibration. I am aware of it now.
Where's the vibration?
Throughout the body, it feels like on the surface of the body.
It feels like what?
On the surface of the body.
And what does it feel like?
It's pulsing sort of sensation.
Is it separate from you, or is it the same as you?
It is, I think, separate
It is what?
from me.
And what is you, the watcher, like?
That is, feels like that is the conscious of that, the thing that is conscious of that. When I am still momentarily, that's being alert, conscious, and that silence feels like me because that is conscious, that sometimes not attached to body, but it is just consciousness or being conscious all the time. I don't know what you ask, but
Eric, what are you right now?
I don't know.
How do you experience yourself?
As feeling
Go on.
feel various tensions. I feel spaces where there isn't tension, the spaciousness.
You have to speak clearer or louder.
And there's a mix of action within me. And so I just keep feeling in and seeing in, dropping into it, investigating the contraction, relaxing into it,
Relaxing into what?
the tightness.
So you're finding the areas of contraction inside your self-recognition.
Yes.
What if you had no contractions?
Well, that'd be nice,
How do you know?
because the areas that are spacious and free within me and relaxed and open, oh, they feel so good. They're more open to receiving the life force. They're more open to receiving the joy, the bliss, the love. But I'm also aware that there are aspects of me that are still closed off in some ways to that. So I just investigate that. Why have I chosen to close myself off to love? Why am I afraid to let myself be completely loved?
Are you afraid?
I think there's a part of me that is, yes.
What if the love itself turned out to be empty and just an idea?
Can-
What would you be without love?
Well, what would I be without the feeling of love? The experience of love. How can I separate myself from that? Where's the separation between me and love? When I'm open to it. Where
So
is
you're-
that?
So your life is dominated by immersing yourself in this love.
It seems to be, Irina said something really interesting. Irina Tweedy, she said, thank you, dearest Guru Maharaj. I have been reprogrammed by love. I thought that was so fascinating because this was in like the 50s and she used that word reprogrammed with love. And I feel that that's very appropriate. That word seems to be a reprogramming with love. If I can open to it. There's a quality to this type of love. It's like an all-consuming fire. It distills, consumes, transmutes. It's very dynamic, very powerful. It's alive and it's consuming everything in me that is not real.
Is
And-
this love you?
Yes,
Something separate?
the love is me. It's the only thing within me that I can really say is real.
Angel. What about you?
I feel like whatever I say is concepts. More and more, it's just this stillness, this quietness, and then I'm aware of myself. Going into my mind.
You are as yourself. Are you separate from the mind?
The mind is an aspect of me, but it's not me. It's because I'm aware of the mind. I'm even aware of the reactions in the mind. And I'm also aware when there's action and there's no mind and there's just action. And it'll happen then, and after it'll be, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like it was just happening. Like it was almost like it was just happening, and then after I was aware, it just happened, and there was nobody there that was happening it. There was nobody there that was doing it. But that's not all the time. Sometimes, well, it is kind of all the time, because sometimes I'm even aware that something's happening in somebody's, and that there's reactions, but there's still this awareness that that was just happening too. And it's, I find myself less and less getting caught in it,
Getting caught in what?
getting caught in the emotions of it. Although I'll be aware that maybe my mind or my mind may get caught up, but or my emotions may be there. It's not like there's no emotions there, but yet that's not me. What I always thought was me isn't me. I always thought I was those emotions and I was feeling that, and but I'm realizing that that's not me. But I'm aware of it and I still feel it and I still experience it, but I realize that it's not who I am.
Here's the truth. At the deepest level, you don't exist. There's no Eon there. No Mark. No Eric. No Angel. But the mind keeps creating all kinds of inner states of emotions, love, emptiness, anger. Divides the world into active and inactive, true and false, but in the end, there's nothing inside and nothing outside, except what your mind gloms onto. And the mind plays with things. But when you're separate from the mind, and some of you are becoming separate from your mind, others are separate from your mind, you realize that the mind creates all kinds of magic shows for you. Inner entertainment, 3-ring circus. Ring number 1 is love. Ring number 2 is emotions. Ring number 3 is emptiness. Ring number 4 is an elephant. It's the mind playing all the time with these distinctions. What's real, what's not real. None of it's real. None of it. It's your mind playing with you. As long as you have the mind, you're entertained. When you lose your mind, the entertainment stops. Then you just are. empty, yet complete. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just feel yourself within and the emptiness within and the complete lack of anything to do or to understand or to go or to evolve into or to relax into or to relax out of. It's just all empty space with floating forms that seem to last sometimes months and seem almost permanent because that complex is always inside of you. But after a while, a long, long while, you see it's all been mind all along. Your mind is playing with you. And as long as you're not separate from the mind, you can't see it's playing you. But when you can see that you're separate from the mind, your empty space, so to speak, you're the void. And within that void is the mind. And when you're like that, when you identify with the void rather than the mind, you come to rest. You're at rest. With nothing to do and nowhere to go. All your tasks are over. There's nothing to do and nowhere to go. You've reached ultimate emptiness. And rather being a place of want or need, it's a place of resting. And enjoying nothingness. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Nothing to love. Nothing to love with. Love is the positive side of emptiness. Chris's cat is trying to get Chris's attention. I like how they reach out their paws and then knead right through all the fabrics that you wear. You can even have two blankets and it still goes through the blankets. And they know how to get your attention. They know that you know they're doing it deliberately. They know they're causing you irritation. They've got your attention. And they pretend like they didn't know. It's all spontaneous, but it's not. I guess you've heard today exactly how many ways people are in their own subjectivity and what they consider to be what they have to do to free themselves. But I tell you, you're already free. It's your mind that's not free. And your job is to separate yourself from the mind, to watch the mind and recognize in watching the mind that you're separate from the mind. Your real nature is that of the void, of emptiness, within which all things happen, including your thoughts, your dreams, your enlightenments. All of this happen in emptiness. And your mind is trying to fill you with non-emptiness, with forms, with missions, with accomplishments, with something to do and somewhere to go. But even enlightenment is just to find that you're nothing. And the mind is something, but it's itself filled with nothing because it's part of you. But you can watch it and not be mesmerized by the mind anymore. It's not that high of a thing. It's not a God. God is within you, but not as the mind. God is within you as the life force. And you can even find that life force within the emptiness as swirling streams of energy in the void. Hi. Hi, sleepy eyes. She wanted to avoid confrontation, so she's pretending to go to sleep. I love you all. Just pay attention to yourself. Understand that the mind is not you. And it's best as best you can to let go of the mind and identification with the mind. And watch from where you're looking at the mind. Are you in your head, really? That's a person that's focused on their mind. Are you in your heart? Are you in your gut? Or else are you in none of those places or all of them at the same time? Are you in the entirety of the void, watching the mind as a location somewhere in the void? And when you can see the mind, you can just ignore the mind. The first thing is to free yourself from your mind, so you no longer identify with your mind. And instead focus more on the emptiness inside of you. And then watch where you're watching emptiness from. Are you watching emptiness from emptiness or from the mind? Can you disidentify with the mind and just become the watcher? The watcher who is free from the mind? Where you no longer have ideas in your mind about what you should be doing, what you should be releasing, what you should be accepting. And instead, watch all of these instructions going on inside of you about how you should be, and then do none of them. If your mind tells you to relax, why the fuck should you? When can you trust the mind to tell you anything? The mind is something to be wasted and gotten rid of. So you don't live from the mind, you live from emptiness. And when you live from emptiness, you're not so busy anymore. Matter of fact, you resent all the things that make you focus on the world. You just want to be free and empty. I love you all. I just wanted you all to hear where everybody else is from today and recognize how very different each person is on their own highway to the unknown. Whatever you can do, try to see that you're separate from the mind. The mind is something there that's entertaining you and also trapping you. You don't want to have anything to do with it. Mark, can you take over now?
Sure. Will do.
I love you all. Take care.